Hello everyone and welcome to the Pennzoil Pro Series for Season 5, Race Number 7 at the Chicagoland Speedway for the Square Systems 450. The Pennzoil Pro Series is back on track on 1.5 miles after coming off of our first road course race of the season. This is our third time coming to the 1.5 mile oval, and we'll have to see how these drivers are able to tame the track after 67 laps of competition. Here's how they'll line up for today's race, with Bad Dad Racing sweeping the top of the grid with Bryan Boone and Michael Jones on top. Bryan Boone, last year's winner of this race, comes home with the ASCA Pole Award. And looking down the grid, another one of our winners, Giovanni Barraza, with a great start down there into the 17th position. Also seeing some great starts out of people like Garrett Senor, Chloe Baker, and Allison Rhodes, very high up the grid. Webster Zygarde, last year's pole sitters, down there in the 22nd position. He'll have to make a rally. Same with his teammate and points leader Kyle Singer, also back there. Other notable names, Nicholas Smudio, Daniel Voiles, and Hergy Larvin Alonso starting deep in the grid for today's race. There are the cars that did not qualify for the event and will have to be going home early. Eric Monaco, very surprising, his first failure to qualify of the season. Your three onboard cameras today, Nick Purcell's, Kyle Singer, and Arsha Sain, all carrying top cameras on the roofs of the cars. No inboard camera today, as that one is currently under maintenance, but it will be back for next week at Ocean State, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we have a race to run, 67 laps around this 1.5 mile track. Bryan Boone, last year's winner, looking to go back-to-back here today. It would not be surprising considering the pace that Bad Dad Racing has had all year. But we'll have to see. Green flag is in the air, and the pace car down on pit road, while the 42 drivers out on track dive down into turn number 1. Man, I was going to say what a killer launch by the 43 there, but the 70 and the 47 were able to make that work on the outside lane. Aaron Lukes is going to pull into the third position, with Jay Barker taking advantage of the 43's lack of momentum there on the bottom. He'll move to fourth place. Look at the moves there, almost 3 wide down into 1. That's not going to work for Barker, as he'll actually end up pushing Purcell's up the track there. A lot of moving around in the front of the field, but also similarly in the back of the pack here, you see 3 wide, with the 83 falling back just a little bit. Colin Denton and Derek Petrie, the two big motorsports drivers who qualified up front, also fighting for position here. And already we see the drivers really getting at each other, as I think maybe the intensity is starting to ramp up. Next week is the midway point in the regular season, and we are starting to recognize who has the ability to go and run for the championship and who needs to start picking up their pace as we go later into the season. Kyle Singer especially on top of the board right now in points, but the rest of these drivers playing catch-up right now, including the 47 car. One of the surprises for Michael Jones is how amazingly he's run, but just hasn't been able to get the finishes. Only 16th in points coming into this race, and I'm sure he's looking for more. Bryan Boone not having as much of an issue, as he's in third in points, but I think this team has definitely, after most sports, solidified themselves as the team to beat, currently running 1-2. Those gold numbers symbolic of the team's last season. This will be their last season of competition in the ASCA. However, it's unlikely they will not go down without a fight, as these guys are looking to be the top-tier team, and hopefully might even go out with a championship. Your Season 3 champs, Bad Dad Racing, with Michael Jones looking to repeat again here in Season 5. But they'll have to get through this man, Kyle Singer, who is on top of the board, as we already have mentioned. However, was not able to get a good qualifying result. In fact, Big Motorsports kind of lacked pace all through practice and qualifying. In fact, it was almost surprising to see Derek Petrie and Colin Denton qualifying as high as they did. However, Kyle Singer doing a mighty good job so far, kind of trying to split his way through traffic. Currently caught in between 2 Smart Motorsports Fords, as well as some competition in front of them. You see the Season 1 winner Giovanni Barraza up there in the Gree Chevrolet. We'll have to see how he can do in his return to the track that he had great success at in Season 1. And Webster Zygarde, oh, he's going to get hooked into the wall! And that was Eric Willis almost blatantly dumping the 12 car into the outside wall. You saw it all happen live. And just going to mention how Webster Zygarde's season has not been up to pace finally had a moment of reprieve last week at Mosport, finishing inside the top 10, but that is not going to continue in Chicagoland. Incredible stuff, as on lap 8, Webster Zygarde's going to basically get dumped into the outside wall. Let's have a replay and see exactly. Eric Willis completely misjudged that, and that was a bit of a bonehead move there. I'm sorry, out of Willis. And Blaine Keys once again is unfortunately going to get caught up in another incident, and he was actually running mid-pack to a good run going so far for a driver who really needed to have a turnaround here today. We're going to get an onboard camera from the Miller Lite onboard with Arch Hossain here, and this will get a great shot of what happened here. I mean, it's almost impossible to believe that was a misjudgment, but I don't see why Eric Willis would just dump Webster Zygarde like that, especially in such a dangerous spot on the track. But the race will go on, as Zygarde will retire from the race, being the only one in that incident to do so. As we see the cars coming off a pit road, a little bit of a scramble at the front of the field, but Michael Jones will hold on to the top spot, as we'll get back to green flag racing on lap 12. Aaron Lukes in the 38 car will fall into the second position, with Jay Barker now on his back bumper in the third position. And you see the battle back there for fourth. Sam Rogers looking underneath the 00 Old Spice Racing Toyota of Nick Purasols. And it's interesting, there looks like to be a lot of players so far in this race. Obviously Bad Dad Racing with some of the strong equipment, but we were not able to see those guys break away from the pack as much as we thought we would have. Your driver currently in third place, Jay Barker, in the number 2 car. Your Bristol winner earlier this year has also been very consistent, but how about his teammate just behind him, Sam Rogers, keeping that fourth position, it looks like, on the outside of the 00 car. National Racing had a huge reconstruction at the beginning of the season, dropping 3 of their 4 drivers, and Sam Rogers was one of the talents they looked at, and hopefully to be one of the drivers to go up there and compete with Jay Barker. And currently Rogers has had a great season so far. He's had a little bit of a low recently, but started off the season great and still holding in 14th position right now. He hasn't won a race since season 2, but I'm sure that is going to come around eventually, as he has shown some great pace in that National Racing Chevrolet. Some great pace has also been shown by Ruby Easton. It's been a bit of a fall for her as well in recent weeks, but she and Ryan Dunn and the whole Overdrive Motorsports organization started out the season so well, becoming the second team in history to hold 1-2 in points, the other team being National Racing. Very surprising that teams like Old Spice Racing and Big Motorsports haven't held that candle yet, but I'm sure that Overdrive Motorsports was thrilled to be in that position, looking to get back into it. You see Stuart Gratton in the 59. Him and Jay Durrell also could be candidates for that position. The new 2-car Fitzwater Australia Racing organization is not one to sleep on at all. And here's Rick Witt back in the field. A little bit of uncertainty as where Rick Witt will be next year. I know it's a little early for silly season, but there have been some rumors flying around about him and his Coppet Amateur Series team maybe making a move. We'll have to see as the season goes on and more information comes out. But as for Rick Witt, it's been a bit of an average season. He's not really lit up the world at all, but he's still had some pretty decent runs, running inside the top 10 at some points, but mainly a top 20 car. So far outperforming some of his teammates in this race, including Ryan Kendall. We mentioned how last week they seemed very off the pace in comparison to some of their Dodge teammates, and that's kind of coming to light again, as we saw Eric Monaco miss this race entirely, and now Ryan Kendall running deep in the pack. Eric Willis already caught up in an accident as well. Currently, Rick Witt is the only car they have even doing remotely well in this race. Another mention back there, you see Jack Porkins also not doing very well. The 98 of Daniel Voiles, we were just talking last week about how he was seeing a rise to the points after some consecutive good weeks by Team SFR, but he's also not having the best of runs here today. But there's plenty of opportunity to come back. Obviously, we'll see a pit stop at some point in this race. And there's always the opportunity for cautions, which we did not have last week. So starting position is not necessarily the big make or break at this track as we'd see it normally at like a road course or something. But as for Michael Jones, look at the competitiveness out front here. A big freight train behind the 47, and Aaron Lukes is finally going to make his move. Whoa, the 2-car getting very close to the 38's quarter panel. However, he's going to make it stick and suck the air off the right side of that car. And Barker is going to move into the second position, it looks like. Your Season 4 defending champion for National Racing, looking very strong and showing exactly why he is considered one of the best veterans in the league right now. And Sam Rogers, is he looking to try to go with them? Don't miscount Rogers either. He's been around a long time as well and also can be considered a veteran at this point. And he's looking to try to get around Luke's, but just behind him, Nick Purcell's in the Old Spice Toyota, a very recognizable car on the track. The silver and maroonish colors for Nick Purcell's have been a staple on this track since Season 2, since he joined the team. And he's really been able to pilot this team to places that we haven't seen before. And Purcell's continuing to show almost that this might be his best season ever, as he has been wildly more consistent and already has 2 poles to his name this season. Continuing to look strong and showing that Old Spice Racing and their Toyota program is one that can compete for championships. Bryan Boone has been a bit of a struggle to get back to the front. As we mentioned, he's last year's winner of this race. He's had a bit of a struggle to get back around all the cars on the track that passed him under caution on pit stops, but you see Brian Lenning also has gotten around him. I'd like to point out that at the front of the field, it is the Bad Dad Racing, National Racing, and Old Spice Racing train out front. Getting a chance to show off out front today, but plenty of other examples out there. Big Motorsports, obviously. And Colin Denton having a pretty solid run right now. One of the Rookie of the Year candidates. And to his inside, Matthew Brown and DW Motorsports for the Ford Mustangs. Also a candidate for a team that could definitely surprise later in the season. How about Muretabs Rishel, though, for the Rookie of the Year honors? It's either between Colin Denton and Muretabs Rishel. Coincidentally, they finished 1-2 in points and are currently running 1-2 in the Rookie of the Year honors for the Pro Series. And Zrischel driving for Double T Motorsports, it would be kind of amazing if Zrischel could surpass Colin Denton by the end of the year, as Double T Motorsports really isn't held to as high of a standard as Big Motorsports is, but certainly she's giving it a good run here today at Chicagoland. And as we see the cars coming down pit road now, filing in, 2 cars are going to stay out. That's the 47 and the 7 car, but led by Brian Lenning, who has made a charge through the field. We see our first round of stops, and likely our last, on lap 44 out of 67. And as the cars make their way off of pit road, Michael Jones was the last car to come down pit road, and look at the cars going around the outside. In a big payoff strategy for coming down early, it looks like. And Sam Rogers and Michael Jones are going to get pushed deep into the field. Look at how far behind they are relative to the leaders. Now out front is the 38 car of Aaron Lukes, and just behind him the 83 of Kyle Collins. And that train we saw out front, filled with National Racing, Bad Dad Racing, and Old Spice Racing cars, has been eviscerated completely. In fact, Old Spice Racing is the only team in the top 3 right now, as Nick Purcell's just behind in the 3rd position. And how about give a shout out to the Old Spice Racing pit crews for getting their team out front, and the pit strategy that is able to work them into this spot as well. But how about 4th place, Colin Denton, just talking about the Rookie of the Year honors. And this 64 car, albeit I believe he took 2 tires on that pit stop, he has found himself in a spot that not many people expected him to be at. And a top 5 run would be amazing for Denton. We're looking very strong out front right now. Cesar Chavez also pulling up some great ground with a 4-tire stop. You see Blaine Keys, that's actually 4th position, as Blaine Keys and this car behind him, William Brock in the 23 car, took 2 tires as well. And how about that call for Galloway Warham Motorsports? Just their 7th career start, or 7th attempt. This team has really shown flashes of brilliance, and honestly, for a team that's a startup, they are doing incredibly well in their first season in the ASCA. As we see the cars flash by the screen, there's your drivers. See where everyone is running with almost 10 laps to go in this race. And after pit stops, the field has broken up quite a lot, but plenty of time for some drivers to make some last-minute moves and gain a few more points in the race before it closes out. I'll tell you what, though, these drivers out front, the last thing they want to see is a caution flag. They want to see this go green all the way through. But something tells me that Kyle Collins wants to try to make a move on the 38 car. You see him hounding that 38 from behind. And Nick Purcell's also has really closed the gap. The draft probably coming into play there a little bit for Purcell's to suck up to the back bumper of the 83 car. But Kyle Collins getting very close to the back bumper of the 38. I don't think that the 38 is just going to let him by easily, but I think the 83 is going to want to try to go for the win here. Moving into the 4th position, Brian Lenning in the 5 car. It's worth shouting out the driver that got a chance for national racing this season and is making the most of it. Had some slow starts at the beginning of the year, but has really started to pull together some nice results. And for the driver that's still winless in his 5-year career, it's looking more and more likely that'll happen this year. Kyle Collins, as we look deeper into the field, the Chevrolet onboard camera not out front where we expected it, but instead mired deep in the pack like he's been all race long. Back in 18th position, as you see on your scoring ticker. Unfortunate for Singer, as he probably will lose the points lead after this race, just unable to show the strength that we've seen him. Even at Mosport, we saw a lack of speed out of Singer, and the first 5 races have not been representative of what this team is capable of, I think. And how about Michael Jones here? He led so many laps today. I think he led 44 laps all the way up until the pit stops, and just unable to claw his way back to the front now. You see him battling with Garrett Senour, and great stuff. You see Garrett Senour and William Brock both running very well in this race. That's one for the single car teams, definitely, as Brock is able to hold on with those 2 tires. And look at this out front. Battle for the lead as Kyle Collins moving to the outside of the track and using the run he gets on the outside of the track. He is going to make the pass, it looks like. Maybe, maybe not. Luke's holding in just a little bit. He's going to get a little loose, and that is going to give the advantage to Kyle Collins as he is able to take over the top spot. But don't look now, Purcell's. He's also wanting to make a move. Nick Purcell's definitely one of the fastest cars on the track right now, but he has to get around his teammate. And now he's stuck now as the 83 car is able to make a bit of a gap in between him and his teammate. But as the Toyotas battle out front, you see this group back here. It's getting pretty racy, but I believe we are too far gone now in time for a late race caution. How about the 7 car, though? He is blasted up through this field. You saw him and Michael Jones getting stuck deep in traffic, but Sam Rogers has clawed his way up about 10 positions since pit stops, and he is not letting up here as you see him getting around the 64 car, or at least trying to. Those 2 tires starting to fade for Colin Denton, but he's still continuing to hold in there as best he can. And some drivers, Kendall and Voiles, we already mentioned them earlier in this race. It has not gotten any better. They are quite frankly at the back of the field, and it has not been a good race for these 2 drivers. And some teams definitely are going to be walking away from here, needing to overhaul their program and maybe make some adjustments going into Ocean State. But for Old Spice Racing, I don't think they need to change anything. Final lap is out in the air, and we see those 3 Old Spice Racing Toyotas just getting around the track, and they are going to have a 1-2-3 finish, it looks like. And the battle may be for second place here if Nick Purcell's can put the pressure on the 38 car. But he's going to stay in line in turns 3 and 4. And out of turn 4, Kyle Collins, for the first time in 2018 and in Season 5, he was going to come home and take the checkered flag for the Square Systems 450 at Chicagoland. And congratulations, Kyle Collins, on another win in the Pennzoil Pro Series. One of the veterans, one of the leaders of Old Spice Racing. And I think that is a power statement out of this Toyota team. Remember at the start of the race I was saying Bad Dad Racing was the team to beat? Well, these guys just made a statement. Aaron Lukes, Nick Purcell's finishing 2nd and 3rd. Brian Lenning, though, coming up in 4th. That's a great run out of the 5 team. Teammates Jay Barker and Sam Rogers also finishing well. How about Cesar Chavez coming home 7th? A great run out of that DW Motorsports Ford. And some very strong runs out of people like William Brock. You see Giovanni Brazza also finishing top 28. Season 1 winner to this race, and had a decent run as well here today. But some drivers looking to recover. How about Derek Petrie, also slipped way back in the field. Logan Sanders, Jack Porkins, Ryan Kendall, Daniel Voiles, A lot of teams will be looking at ways to improve going into Ocean State. Here are your point standings. Bryan Boone moved to the top spot after Kyle Singer didn't have the greatest of races. In fact, would have liked to see much better performance than he had here today. And Nick Purcell's moving into second place in points after his third place run here at Chicagoland. You see the point standings around the cut line opening up just a little bit, but still plenty of drivers in contention. And that wraps things up here at Chicagoland. But the ASCA League will be back again with more Pennzoil Pro Series action in Rhode Island at Ocean State Speedway. It'll be sure to provide some thrilling action. We'll see you then.